I am joined by my next guest, and it is lovely to have Jaktraded along with us. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I'm feeling very well today.
Yeah, I'm glad
Super
to
excited
hear
to be here.
it. It's great to have you on. So I think we must have sort of connected, online somewhere somehow over the last year. I think perhaps from you doing your own like playlist, like queer playlist, and then you've
hmm
since created your own like queer music night as well in London. So I think that's maybe
hmm
where we kind of connected somehow, somewhere online.
Yeah, definitely.
um, but yeah, for anybody that doesn't know you, can you tell us a little bit about who is Jack Traded? What are you up to in the world of music and queer life?
My name is Jaktraded. I am actually from Wolverhampton, hence the accent. But I live in London. I have been here for about 6 years. I have been rapping for about 3.5 years. I come from a long line of performing, so I'm a trained dancer. Kind of found out during the uni period that dance wasn't really for me, but I always loved to perform. So kind of discovering rap and then being given the opportunity to perform at Birmingham Pride, which was my first performance, it kind of brought that spark back of performing. So yeah, ever since then I've been blazing like a few stages, would love to do more.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where like I come alive is on the stage. Like I actually do music to perform. Um what was the question? Oh yeah, also, so in the last year and a bit now, I think I started August 2020, I have been running a page called Queer Artists Connect UK. That page basically was designed because I was finding it very difficult to find queer spaces where I could rap comfortably.
Hmm.
And then that's kind of just grown into this weekly playlist, promotion of queer artists. And now we're going on the other side of this pandemic. I'm doing monthly events, which is really great. And I'm very much enjoying. So I'm questioning if that's something that I should be doing more often as well.
That's cool. I love it. I love how that yeah, a lot of this stuff has just happened quite like, well, not randomly, but
Organically.
like, yeah, organically, that's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. I think sometimes that's the best way for this stuff to kind of happen,
Yeah,
so-
definitely.
oh, it's great. Oh, it's lovely to hear all of that and how that all kind of came together as well. And yeah, so the Queer Artists Connect page, I think now remembering that's definitely where I think we must have connected,
Yeah,
as it
definitely.
says in the tin. Birmingham Pride, was that last year then that you performed, or was that this year?
No, I performed every year since I performed the first time, but it was 20. So we had a break in 2020,
Oh yeah, there
right?
wasn't one last
Then
year.
we
Yeah.
had 2019. So my first one was 2018.
Ah,
So
cool.
I've done 2018, 2019, and then the one that just
Yeah.
went
Nice. So how
2021.
have it all been? Those pretty
Um,
massive prides, right? I've never been to Birmingham Pride, but I've heard they're pretty big.
if you haven't been, you're missing out.
I
Birmingham
know.
Pride, Birmingham Pride is definitely what I would say the best pride I've ever been to in the UK. I think it's one of the only prides that caters to everyone
Mm,
and not just one specific type of gay
yeah,
person.
yeah,
So it has multiple stages. It has stages for up and coming artists. It has the main stage. And it really like every year the artists are very on the nose of what queer people want to see.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a great pride.
Who?
Shout out Dan Brown.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's who organizes it? Is it like a charity that organizes it, or is it community?
I'm not sure exactly who organizes the whole thing. I know that Dan Brown, who's from Birmingham, he's part of that team and he's who calls me and calls. I think he puts all the artists together. But I'm not sure if it's like a big team or it's just him. I'm sure it's like a team of people, but shout
Yeah.
out Dan Brown. He's doing a great job.
Yeah. Birmingham Pride. Yeah, nice one. And so you were saying, yeah, love to be doing more performances. Have you got any more performance happening on the horizon other than your own night, obviously, which we'll talk about. But yeah.
So I've had a big September. So I'm actually gonna have a chill month. I am gonna perform at the October event of my event, but I'm gonna have a chill month to work on new music because I haven't
Nice.
been in the studio for nearly a year. So it's hard to kind of like put set list together when you
Yeah,
haven't got new music. So yeah, I'm gonna take a little bit of time focusing on new music and focusing on the event.
nice. What's your process for kind of writing new stuff then? Does it happen in the studio or do you take it outside the studio and then bring it in?
Definitely outside the studio. If I'm in the studio, I have quite a lot of anxiety, so
Yeah,
I like to write along. Usually, it's me browsing YouTube, finding beats,
yeah.
and kind of like if a beat talks to me, I'll start writing to it.
Hmm.
If that process doesn't happen, I literally can't write at all. But yeah, I'll write to the beat, and then I'll kind of sit on it for a while. If a song comes out of it, a song comes out of it. As a rapper, you can just like write a verse sometimes and let that
Hmm.
be it. But yeah, and then I'll go to the studio much later when that's kind of the writing and the raps and the flow is kind of natural to me. And then I'll bring it to the studio.
Nice. Do you have a specific like producer and studio that you always work with, or does it switch around?
That's something that I'm working on. I want a team, like someone that I can go to very often. At the moment, I use Remus Williams. He also DJs at my events.
Mhm.
And I really want to work with Jamel Monarch, who is a rapper and a
Yes.
producer.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's a very amazing producer.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, as I start working on the new music, those are the two go-tos that I'll go to.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just for me, it's about being comfortable when I'm in the studio because it's a very new experience for me. So the more comfortable I am, the more I'm going to be able to say what it is that I want and what I need.
Yeah, yeah. And what like in terms of kind of like just thinking about like I get the nerves of being in the studio and all that like stuff as well. Like how
Mhm.
does that differ from like the dance world, like the music world in terms of, the anxieties of performance and being in studios and all that stuff? Like are there similarities there or is it quite different?
I think it's different. I think with dance, I could always depend on movement. It's very different to talk and then to
Mm,
dance. So when I'm dancing, I'm literally just depending on my body. When it comes to the studio, it's like things like I might make a mistake in a sentence.
mhm.
And if I'm not comfortable, I'll just let it go. And I'll just end up not being happy with my final track because I
Right.
was too scared to say, hey, I said the wrong word there. So
Yeah.
it's all about, I think, getting comfortable, knowing exactly what I want and being comfortable with what I'm saying in that space,
Mm,
which is why I kind of avoid making my music without queer producers
mhm.
because I don't want to like be talking about sex and the person be like screaming or like
Yeah.
yeah, it's just about being comfortable, I think.
No, totally. I think that's so important, like so important. Like I think and people maybe don't often understand that as well. Like when you're like writing and then in the studio, like this, for me anyway, my experience of working with a producer, studio time has been like a lot of it is like sitting and actually figuring out what is it you're trying to say with the song and like what is the message and like you actually have to kind of almost like a little therapy session. Like you have to like go,
Yeah.
you have to go deep into it. And like, yeah, if you're not comfortable with that person, particularly if you're, yeah, talking about whatever your experience that you're bringing to it, then
Mhm.
it's going to be tricky. So yeah, finding those queer people that you can be comfortable with in the studio is pretty important.
It's super important. Yeah,
How
agree.
about how about finding other queer rappers as well? Is that something if you started to connect even more so like from doing your own events and stuff as well or
Yeah, definitely. My page has definitely connected me with a lot of different sorts of artists and different sorts of music. Rap being one of them, but I was already kind of very interested in rap anyway.
Hmm.
So I before I started rapping, I was very into an American artist called Controverse,
Mhm.
who is a super amazing gay artist. And then in the UK, we've had this like flux of gay rappers in the last year. So there's King, there's Carter, there's Mr. Strange, who has a big public platform, Brazy. I don't want to forget that one now that I'm naming
I
names.
know I put you on the spot there.
But yeah,
Add in
Al
element.
Keenan, who's
Yeah.
having a big TikTok influx at the moment. But yeah, there's a lot of rappers out there, and it's super cool. All one of my favorite rappers, before I forget, Carnage. Carnage is doing a very good job. He has been for a while. I feel like he was one of the founders of the UK gay scene. But
Yeah.
yeah, so there's a lot.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And like it's great to kind of yeah, see how it's kind of how queer music hopefully isn't just sticking to one kind of genre as well. And like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it probably it kind of used to be quite like that, but
Yes, yeah.
it's kind of it's good that it's expanding from that. Um,
I'm broadening, yeah.
and like yeah, and like you're saying, like in so your night that you run, so is it
Hmm.
quite mixed then in terms of like the genres of artists that come along and like yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so my page even it's kind of like a progression from the page. So the page was never for one sort of artist, it was never for one sort of person. It was to connect everyone. So yeah, I get emails all the time for people sign up to open mic, like, oh, is this welcome? And I'm like, yeah, I got email I think it was yesterday, and it was a producer who doesn't perform, but he gets people on his tracks and he would love to play a few tracks for us. And I was like, of course, like
Yeah,
everything is welcome. Any style is welcome. I want to create a loving space that queer people can just be comfortable. Like I've been to open mics, which are great. And but I always have this kind of fear to get on the stage because I'm going to be so different from
yeah,
what's being played. But when you've given a space where it's meant for you and it's comfortable, you then get inspired to perform. Because even my last event, um, there was a lot of people who said, "Oh, I'm going to perform on the night. Like I'll decide on the night." And literally 100% of those people performed on the night, and it
nice.
made me feel so good that my event is doing exactly what it's supposed to. It's making them feel comfortable and it's making them want to perform.
I love it. I mean, and as I've said to you, I'm definitely coming along to one for sure. We say it well, but your next one after this podcast goes out will be in November.
18th
Um,
of November, yeah.
nice one. And whereabouts is it?
It is in Fulham, so it's Broadway Bar and Grill, which is just by Fulham Broadway Station. Easy access to get to.
Nice. And so if you're in London or from outside London, come into it for it. So
Hmm.
you can connect through your Instagram page then. Is that the best way to get
Yes,
tickets?
yeah. So Queer Artists Connect UK, and then the link is in the bio, and you'll see all the information about the event right there, post on the page.
Nice, nice one. So we're going to play one of your tracks as well. So I know that you've just said you're going
Hmm.
to be working on some new stuff as well. It's exciting. But
Hmm.
for the moment, we're going to go back into this is a song that was released last year, right? This is '07.
Yeah. So this is the first thing
Yeah.
I ever released. So yeah,
Tell us a
I
little
think
bit
it's
about
the
it.
first thing yeah. So it's called Oh 07. It's the first full song I ever wrote. It doesn't have really a hook or a chorus, but it's actually probably the most favorite. It's the favorite song that I've released. It sounds the best, production wise, and I feel like it's the most real to my soul at that time.
Mm,
So yeah, that's
nice. Great.
it.
Well, yeah, no, it's great, great track. Happy, very happy to play it. And you have to bring back when you've got some new stuff as well. You have to come back and share that
Mhm.
with us as well. Um, was,
Definitely.
but you mentioned quite a few like other rappers and queer rappers, particularly that you kind of are inspired by. Is there any
Mhm.
other kind of inspirations or aspirations for where you want to go with your music and what you're doing right now?
Um, I want my music to be I want to tell more stories. I want it to be more from the soul. I think a lot of things that I've released sounds very angry.
Mm,
And I was angry at a time. I'm from a small city, um, where I was probably like the only queer in the village.
yeah.
So I've been through a lot, but I'm at a different place. I live in London. I'm comfortable. I'm happy. I want to make music that has different emotions and tells different stories. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I'm at like a place of really write songwriting and making songs now.
Mm,
Am I inspired? Musically, I am not inspired by a lot of people. I like female rap, so I like Miss Banks. I like Shabo. I like people who find a way to embrace their culture
mm,
while rapping. So I'm Jamaican, for example. I'm British Jamaican. I'm born here, but my dad is Jamaican and my grandparents are Jamaican. And that's a big part of how I was brought up and a big part of my life. So in my new music, I am almost reminding myself of those like moments where I grew up. My auntie had a saying, it was feast today, famine tomorrow. And it was literally something she used to say if we ate too much food out of the fridge. But it's such an important thing and it stuck with me all my life. And now I'm kind of like using those memories and those lines in my music when I'm writing. So yeah, I think that's probably my biggest inspiration is probably culture and where I grew up and how I was brought up and all those good stuff like that.
Oh, I love it. That was a great saying as well. Do you feel like more comfortable now embracing that culture than perhaps you had before? Like, or is this just you're just using this as a good place to go to for inspiration?
Yeah, I think I'm more comfortable. I think I dancehall is a very anti-queer type of music. So
Right.
I think now that I am very comfortable, I'm trying my best to talk to the younger person who grows up in a household who sometimes accidentally homophobic.
Yeah.
Because I don't think my parents were ever homophobic. I just think they accidentally did it because that's the culture that they grew up in.
Right.
So my music now, I want to remind young queers, like growing up in that kind of environment, that you can that it's not on purpose. Also, you can enjoy that music and still be queer.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
I
I think
love it.
that's the main thing.
No, well, it's such an important message as well. Like, it's great. Music is such a good vehicle for doing that.
Hmm.
And you're already sharing the love with creating your night as well. For artists to come along and try some stuff out, and and
Yeah,
connect. Like, which is the whole. I mean, this is why I do this podcast as well. Like, why I started the playlist was like just to find other queer artists, and then it's great. And then you get to meet people and chat to people, and then eventually in real life as well, which is nice. But
yeah, it's
yeah, like creating those
amazing.
connections is always like really, really great. And yeah, I just love how open and more open artists are now about their lives as queer people and like how that
Yeah.
forms part of it. Like, do you see that changing, like back home in Wolverhampton as well, like or anywhere else? Do you see more queer artists appearing or?
I would say that without telling too much of my business at home, because I
Yeah,
don't
of
want to
course. You
out
don't need to go with
anyone.
that.
But
Yeah,
but
potentially
I
names.
believe that sometimes I go home and I'm like, wow, it's come so far. I remember being kind of scared to walk on certain streets. I remember I didn't come out in school, I came out after.
Okay.
And I know some young people who are openly bisexual and openly gay in school. So I sometimes think, well, all that I went through and all that turmoil is for a reason.
Hmm.
Like it's the pen has been pushed forward. It's not there yet, but it's been pushed forward, and that work and what I have gone through has helped other people, in a sense, be more free and be more open, and that kind of area to be more accepting. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's doing well. We're doing well in Wolverhampton at the
I'd say
moment.
absolutely. Big up Wolverhampton. I'm definitely gonna have to go to Birmingham. You've absolutely sold Birmingham Pride to me for next year.
You should definitely go get your tickets early. It's
Yeah, I
cheaper.
know, right? I should get them now. I love it. What? So, do you know when we might expect some new music from you, or is that still in the works?
Sorry, someone just called me. Please
That's
don't
all
hear
right.
me. Yeah.
No, that's good.
Sorry. So yeah, new music. I am going to start working on between with this month and next month. Hopefully to release something in December, January. So
Love it.
yeah, it's kind of I have an album written in
Okay.
my head, like so I have multiple songs. It's just now picking the songs I want to work on and refining stuff and getting in the studio and just making it sound how it sounds in my head.
Love it. And for your night, is there anywhere you'd like to see it going next year, or are you happy with it as it is, or is there kind of future plans for it?
So definitely future plans. I want to go in different areas. I've secured a Birmingham day. I've I have obviously I've said I've performed at Birmingham Pride quite often. So
Mhm.
I'm trying I don't want to perform again. Well, I wouldn't say I don't want to, but next year I want to do something different.
Yeah.
Um, I have messaged and asked if I can get a queer artist connect set.
Mm,
So I'll be hopefully scouting artists throughout the
great.
year for that. So given as I'm enjoying events, I also want to help put artists who maybe have never touched that stage
Yeah.
on that stage. So that's something that I'm looking forward to doing. And I'm looking maybe into like club nights, but not too clubby, but like club nights where there's like performances. Also, I want to do, what do you call it, like release parties.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really going into this kind of like queer events,
Yeah.
making creating space for different people to do what they need to do and promote their music.
I love it. I think there's still such a gap for like queer nights that are like independent music artist focused as well.
Yeah.
Because it's more maybe performance stuff or
Mhm.
drag or whatever else, which is great, but there's so much great independent music that
Yeah.
needs to be kind of showcased. So yeah, I love it. Well,
Yeah.
all the best of all of that. You're going to be busy. You're going to be busy.
I am
Yeah,
while trying to study.
yeah, yeah. Watch our study as well. Do you mind telling us? I know we were chatting a little bit before, but you were telling me a little bit about what you're going to be studying as well, which I thought was quite. I always think it's really
Yeah,
interesting
so
to find out
I
what other people do.
yeah, yeah. So I am doing social work with the hopes to work with young people and adults. I think my desire is to work with queer youth who live in supported housing because I left home at a very early age. And I had a lot of support from probably the age of 16 to going to
Mm,
university. So it was a real life-changing point in my life, and I want to kind of make that change and help people. I also want to go into like um, music therapy and working with like young people and writing music and finding other ways to kind of get rid of that anger and
yeah,
that confusion and finding a hobby and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of my goals once I finish my
nice.
course.
I I think that's amazing. And I would say so. I work for like youth music charities as well, and I've worked in
Mhm.
kind of charities as well. Like so, I think like that sounds totally up my street of like how to kind of use music as well. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, you've got your work cut out for you, but you're going to be absolutely grand, I'm sure. Well, Jaktraded, thank you for coming to chat to us. I really appreciate it.
it's all right.
And so, if you're in London, go check out the music night, which is called
Queer. Oh, it's called a lot of different things every month. I
Changes every
haven't made
month.
the November. Yeah, so we try and change the theme every month, but I haven't
But Queer
confirmed the
Artists
November one
Connect
yet.
is
But
the
Queer
place
Arts Connect is the
place to
right
find it,
now.
and you'll find out the new name for it, the November one. Well, thank you so much, and thanks for sharing your music with us as well. And I look forward to some new stuff soon. So,
Thank you very much. I
all right,
appreciate it.
take care. Bye.
Bye.